What is up? It is Durgy Spade, aka MC Spade. And guess what? Ontario has loosened up the laws, so now we are allowed 100 people at an outdoor wedding. So let's go ahead and take a look at not one, not two, but what 3 COVID weddings look like right now. First, need the MC jacket on and need that PPE. Let's go. Alright, so we are now at Liberty Grand. Let's go check it out. Today we are at Lasalle Banquet here in Burlington, Ontario. We are here at the Markham Convention Center. We are here today at another COVID wedding, and we are at Casa Loma today.
So what we're doing is we're making sure that all social distance rules are being maintained. For example, for ceremonies, we're making sure that all the chairs are socially distanced with at least 1.5 feet in between chairs. We're making sure that all my staff is wearing proper PPE, including gloves and masks at all times, regardless of where they are in the garden. We're making sure that our tables are socially distanced as well, to ensure that there's no more than 7 to 8 people per table. We're making sure that we're kind of separating or expanding our floor plans. For example, inside our tent here, we're doing 7 tables, and outside we're doing another 8 to make sure that there's a proper spacing in between our guests. And we have an open concept tent to make sure that the guests that are sitting outside feel that they're part of the wedding. We're also ensuring that there's sanitizing stations around the garden, so that way guests feel the need to sanitize their hands, they can do so at their own will. We're making sure that our bartenders are serving all the guests, so that way guests don't pick up things and put them back down. And lastly, we're making sure that the buffet is fully served by our staff wearing the proper PPE, so that way guests don't handle the proper utensils.
One of the issues you might face in an outdoor wedding, of course, are the elements. Rain, snow, sleet, and today we've got a lot of wind. It's a really windy day. Hopefully it doesn't rain any more today than it did earlier this morning, but when you're planning an outdoor wedding, that's of course something you need to think about. So the craziest thing just happened. Remember how I was telling you, you need to be careful of the weather when you're having an outdoor wedding? So behind me, way in the back over there, there's a gazebo and a patio flooring where the couple are getting married. As they were about to get married, a strong gust of wind came by, and guess what? The rings were sitting on a table or somewhere, and the rings fell over due to the wind, and they fell through the cracks in the flooring of the deck. We're basically screwed. I'm not sure how the team over here is going to try to get that out. I think they're going to be coming in with crowbars and hammers, and they're going to try to hammer at the deck to get the ring out. But please be aware that the weather can really cause a lot of unexpected problems if you're not careful.
The crowd by bringing our masks.
Good.
Right, allowing them to understand that we're protecting them as well as ourselves.
Okay.
We sanitize our hands. We all have sanitizers by our DJ booth. We actually don't. We recommend that the guests don't interact with us as closely as they used to before, because a lot of them used to ask for song requests, and that was the biggest one. So now we kind of just get the bride and the groom to fill us out with all the information that they need prior to the event.
Bride and groom were good. They're really happy with everything. It was really good to see that the guests maintained the proper social distancing. It was good to see that the staff maintained their proper social distance as well with the proper PPE. Everyone was respectful of both the rules. I saw a lot of guests use our hand sanitizing stations around the garden. Overall, it was a good event. Again, with COVID, everybody maintained the proper rules, regulations.
You know what? The first and most important thing is you gotta wear a mask tonight. I'm gonna make sure I'm wearing a mask so that way, you know, we're keeping our distance. We got a mask on. And second most important thing, before I touch any of the ingredients, I'm gonna make sure I sanitize. We don't want to spread germs. We don't want to spread COVID.
Are you sanitizing your hands or the fruit?
Yeah, that's a good question. We'll make sure we sanitize both.
Weddings for the past, I would say past 2 months is very slow, but it's mostly like intimate weddings, right? So not in a big scale. So what I do, I sanitize the mic and I wear mask most of the time, whenever I can.
So traditional weddings have like lots of interactions with its hugging or just even dancing, a lot more interactions between guests and couple. Here, this is kind of a little bit different now. We're really kind of trying to keep our distance. We're not allowed dancing. We're not allowed, the typical receiving line. So that's the biggest part, I think, is the change, as well as the food. The food, you have to be sitting, whereas before you can kind of get up and mingle with a drink and some food, but now everything has to be seated. So it's very different than before. Yeah, so the cocktail hour is taking place in room A. So it's a 200-person wedding, so 50 people at a time are allowed to go into room A, have some cocktails, and then go back into the main ballroom where all the tables are set apart and everybody's supposed to be in their little bubbles. So it's a little bit different than before in the aspect that you would have it all in a lounge area or like a main hallway. Now we don't have that. So there's a person standing that's a part of the Markham Convention Center, and they're standing at the door, and they allow 50 people in at a time. So if 10 people leave, they'll allow 10 more in, but there's somebody there counting each time. So they actually booked the entire convention center, the Markham Convention Center. So there are no other weddings that are happening tonight. It would have technically had 4 potentially, but they booked it, and we've used the whole hall to spread out each table as well as the chairs. This is our first.
Oh,
this is our first COVID. 95% of my weddings have moved to next year. So this is our first, and we're really excited, and it's fun. It's different.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the same.
We've had to pivot like everybody else because, you don't want to we go home to our families just like the clients do. Not really, just because the limit of people that are being allowed into the building is, capped at like 50, for example.
What is up? It is Dergy Spade, aka MC Spade, and we are at Casa Loma today. And we had some crazy music in the background. We are at Casa Loma in Toronto, a huge castle. COVID weddings are still happening, and so some couples have asked, how can they still have fun at weddings, now that there can't be any dancing? And so one option is to have some sort of show or entertainment after dinner, and that's why I'm here today. We're going to do an incredible magic show right after these guys are done their dinner, and that's just one way I've seen that you can get around the entertainment portion at weddings go. I'll even show you the seats here. They're very separated. In fact, what they've done is they put different rows for every table, so all the tables are still technically sitting together in this room, in the room that I'll be performing in, but there's lots of space between each row, which is fantastic, a great way to maintain social distancing. I'm not sure if they're required to keep their masks on while they're here during the show, but we will find out. Let's go. All right, here we are at another wedding here at Ascot Park tonight, and tonight's wedding is a little bit different than the last one we saw at this exact same venue, as this one is an indoor wedding versus an outdoor wedding, which is what we saw last time, which means that some of the rules are different. So for example, we can only have 50 people indoors versus the 100 outdoors that's currently allowed in Ontario. So let's go ahead and take a look at what an indoor COVID wedding looks like here at Ascot Park. All right, let's go find Jay, the operations manager here at Ascot Park. You've met him once before, but let's go find him again.
Hey, it's Jay again at Ascot Park. I'm the operations manager here, and we're back at it for an indoor reception this time for 50 people with the proper social distancing rules in effect, with the proper PPE and sanitization stations all around our venue. The last time we were in our garden, we had sanitizing stations posted all around for our guests. This time, because we're inside, we do have them posted by the main entrance and by the bar for our guests to use.
So during COVID, weddings are completely flipped upside down. Everyone's got to wear a mask at certain points. 50 guests are allowed, and it's really different. And being my first wedding, I don't know how the dance party's gonna go, but we'll see what happens. First wedding after COVID in September. Normally I'm doing weddings over the summer, but this is my first time.
So one of the things that sucks about COVID weddings is, of course, we can't get up and dance, which is the one thing we all love to do at weddings, of course. So unfortunately tonight, while people are dancing, it's in their own social bubble. So people are dancing at their own tables, or they're moving around on the dance floor just, you know, with the 2 or 3 people that they're close with. Again, the bad news is that we can't really have crazy dancing. The good news is we can at least have a wedding, and we don't necessarily need to postpone forever and ever. Today we are at Lasalle Banquet here in Burlington, Ontario. I've never performed here before, but it's going to be another COVID wedding here tonight. Now this will probably be my last wedding for this season, mostly because the numbers of COVID infections are starting to pick up once again in Ontario, unfortunately, which to me it sounds like they're going to be shutting things down. So let's get this one last wedding in and still have a great celebration while keeping everyone nice and safe. Now what's really interesting about Lasalle Banquet, again, I've never been here before, is again they've got this outdoor space which is perfect for those COVID weddings, where ideally we want to be outdoors if we can. They've got the table spread out and they've got only 6, 7, 8 people at per table instead of the usual 10 or 12. The venue looks beautiful, so let's go ahead and have an amazing time. Let's go. Well, there you have it. This is Dergy Spade, aka MC Spade, signing off. I hope you got something out of this video as far as COVID weddings are concerned, and hopefully gave you some ideas for your own wedding. Now, if you want to get a PDF of mistakes to avoid at your own wedding, you can download that for free over at weddingchecklistnow.com. So go ahead over there and grab that now. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time.